you've been placed under arrest and you say to the police, I want a lawyer. So can the police still question you after you say this? What happens in this situation? So I'm going to break it down to you today. This is it. In Canada, after you say, I want a lawyer, can the police still question you? That's the basic premise that we have. And it's an interesting question that many people are asking about. So when you're placed under arrest or you're placed under detention in Canada, first of all, the police have to give you a right to retain and instruct counsel without delay. They're going to read to you from a card, if they memorize it, about calling a lawyer, you have a lawyer of a choice, or calling duty counsel. And that should be done as soon as, immediately really, as soon as at least that can be safely done. In Canada then, you have a right to call a lawyer. You don't have the right to have the lawyer come to the police station or come to the scene of the crime or anything like that. But at that point then, if you assert your rights, you say, yes, I want to call a lawyer. Well, you can call duty counsel or you can call a lawyer of your choice. And the police will make those calls for you, okay? And you have a reasonable opportunity to exercise that right. And so the police have an informational duty to provide you that. It's up to you to say you want to do it. And then they have an implementational duty. In other words, they have to make the phone calls for you and strive to be duly diligent, okay? So what happens in the interim? Are they required to cease asking you questions? Because you don't want to answer any questions. You want to exercise your right to silence. So the police are supposed to cease answering any questions at that point. They're supposed to, but sometimes they don't. So you have to, exercise your right to counsel. Say, I'm not saying anything. I want to keep asserting your right to a lawyer. But most police officers, they know the law here. Most police officers, and they'll stop answering questions asking questions in this situation until you've spoken to your lawyer. So make sure you speak to your lawyer. Your lawyer is typically going to tell you, look, you have the right to silence. So I'm advising you not to say anything to the police. Do not answer any questions. Do not engage in social chit chat. You don't want to say something that's going to hurt you, whether it's idle chit chat or not. After that phone call now, the police are going to resume questioning. They're allowed to do that now. That surprises a lot of people, and it's up to you to assert your right to silence. So you have a right to speak to a lawyer, not to come to the police station, not like the U.S. where you see on the U.S. TV, and you have a right to assert your right to silence, so say nothing. Now, there's exceptions always in every rule. For example, when you're arrested for impaired driving, first of all, right to silence is fine, but you have to provide the breath sample. So that's something they're going to do in that situation. But the typical rule is a person who's placed under arrest should not say anything to the police other than giving your name, your address, your birth date. You're required to identify yourself. Don't give any other information. Make sure you speak to that lawyer. The police should cease questioning in that situation. Now, I'm going to give you some examples now. Okay, so let's talk about the typical impaired driving stop. So the police see you weaving on the roadway. They pull you over. You've got an odor of alcohol in your breath. Maybe you're slurring your speech. So they bring you to the police station. At that point, first of all, they're going to arrest you at the scene. They're going to read a breath demand. More importantly, or equally importantly, they're going to read or memorize and tell you about your right to call duty counsel, which is a 1-800 number in Ontario, or call the lawyer of your choice. They should cease questioning further. So shut up. By the way, if they're not questioning and still yipping and yapping, they're going to take notes. So you don't want to say anything because you're just giving evidence against yourself. You're maybe slurring. So don't start talking in the police car. Don't engage in idle chit chat with them because they'll do that. That's not questioning. They can say, hey, nice day outside. Don't talk about anything like that. But they're not supposed to question you about the fence or ask any further questions. Some of them will, but your lawyer hopefully will get that thrown out of court because that's inadmissible. If you can show that you asserted your right to counsel and they asked you questions and you stupidly answered the questions, that's a breach of Section 10B of the Charter and should be excluded under Section 24.2 because that's a statement which typically will get excluded. So now you go back to the police station. They're going to place phone calls for you to right to counsel of choice or duty counsel. That duty counsel or your lawyer, if they're an experienced criminal lawyer, is going to tell you, look, shut up. I want you saying nothing. I don't want you engaging in idle chit chat even because that's just giving evidence against yourself. I don't want you any questions. There's going to be questions asked. They're going to ask questions. They're going to want to engage in social chit chat. Don't do it. do your best to provide the breath samples. You have to provide 2 breath samples in this scenario. If it's a drug evaluation case for drug impaired driving, you have to do what's called the drug recognition evaluation, which is a very elaborate balancing tests, horizontal nystagmus eye tests, all sorts of things. So you do have to cooperate with that. But you don't have to answer any questions. Now, another scenario that sometimes happens is what's called you assert your right to counsel, but your lawyer of choice is not available, and the police have tried. Let's say they made some attempts to call that lawyer. They're going to come back to you and say, look, your lawyer of choice is not available. We can call another lawyer. We can call duty counsel. We can wait a little bit for your lawyer. We're not going to wait forever because you have other options, but we'll wait a reasonable time. What do you want to do? Well, I want to wait for my lawyer. Okay, that's one option. They'll only wait so long because they're going to want you to divert eventually to duty counsel or another lawyer. They can't wait forever. Or you say, I'm going to give up. I'm going to waive now, or I'm not going to wait for my lawyer. They're required to do a prosper warning at that point. They're going to have to say to you, this is called a prosper, Prosper waiver, and they're going to say, look, you have a right to retain and instruct counsel, without delay. We can wait. We're not going to take the breath samples until you do that. At least we're going to wait a reasonable time, give you other opportunities. You can call duty counsel. You can call other lawyers. We'll wait a bit for your lawyer. What do you want to do? So they've given you a proper prosper warning. They've told you that they can wait for a while. They've told you about other options. It's up to you. What do you want to do? It's a proper. If you say no, then you waive your right. Now they're going to start asking you questions. Shut up. So don't waive your rights to counsel. Make sure you speak to a lawyer and don't fall for that prosper warning stuff. Okay, and exercise your right to silence. And the bottom line, though, is the police should cease questioning once you ask for a lawyer. The lawyer's not allowed to come. It's a phone call. Listen to the lawyer's advice. And if it's a police officer who doesn't know what they're doing and they're trying to trick you and ask questions, don't fall for it. Say, right to silence, and I want my lawyer. Just keep asserting that. Just keep saying that. I want to speak to my lawyer. Once the questioning starts, right to silence and shut up. Don't say anything. Because the problem is, if you keep talking, you're going to say something stupid. You're going to create evidence against yourself. You're going to say something inconsistent with your trial testimony. People want to talk, don't even talk at all. That's the bottom line. So there you have it. Should the police cease questioning? They should. The law says they should. If they don't, before you get a chance to speak to a lawyer, you'll hopefully be able to get that thrown out with a good lawyer, because it's a breach of Section 10B of the Charter, because they didn't comply with the implementational component of that. In other words, they didn't give you enough time to speak to a lawyer, and they started asking questions what they shouldn't have, okay? So there you have it. Certainly enjoyed this video today, and if you like this video, please subscribe, and we'll see you at my next video. Thank you for watching our video. We are absolutely committed to bringing you the best possible criminal and DUI educational videos. If you found this video helpful, please like it and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you've been charged with a criminal offense in Ontario and require our services, please click on the link in the description below.